happens when a stroke takes more than your words and your movement. What it takes is the person that you thought you were. And this is the question that Dr. Debra Meyerson had to answer for herself after a significant stroke left her with aphasia and paralysis. Debra was a tenured Stanford professor who studied leadership and identity, and suddenly she had to rebuild her own. Together with her husband, Steve Zuckerman, Debra has turned that personal loss into purpose, writing the second edition of Identity Theft, Rediscovering Ourselves After Stroke. And together with her husband, they founded Stroke Onward, where they help others find meaning and connection and hope beyond the hospital walls. This conversation isn't just for survivors or care partners. It's for anyone who's ever had to rewrite their story and wondered who they are now. Let's welcome our guests. Welcome to the Listen for Life Aphasia podcast. And my special guests this morning are Dr. Debra Meyerson and Steve Zuckerman, her wonderful husband, co-author, co-creator of Stroke Onward. We have so many wonderful things to talk about today, and I'm excited to have you both here.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
So for me, you guys feel like movie stars because I've seen you in person and speaking twice now at Aphasia Access. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
The two of you have spent more than a decade helping survivors and family rebuild identity and purpose after stroke. In the second edition of your book, Identity Theft, you capture so much of what you've learned along the way and are really setting the foundation for others to improve their own identity. And what we know, and you guys live every day, is that identity has to be rebuilt. So that brings us more in depth to your book. You've shared your story in so many ways: public speaking events, podcasts, your bicycling across America, which we will talk about. But this second edition of your book feels a little bit different. It's more focused on adaptation and purpose. So, Debra, question for you. When you look back at where this all began, especially the moment when your career suddenly ended, what made you decide to turn that experience into a book?
3 years after my stroke, I worked my ass off, the hardest job I ever had. Luckily, I had really good therapy. I knew I could work hard, so I knew I could get my old life back, but I couldn't. 3 years after my stroke, the Steve and I were sitting with Todd Scale, the dean of the Stanford Education School. Stanford usually grants 2 years of medical leave. Claude extended it for that 9 months. My therapy is really helping a lot, but my aphasia makes it impossible to do my job. With great compassion, he told me I had to resign with my tenured position.
Mm.
I me I hit me the attack of Brooks. We left in silence. I just lost my career. I had just lost my this person I always been. I was devastated. Steve and I had been optimistic. Could we could get my old life back? Now we had to uh, accept that my stroke was changed my life forever. I really struggle, really struggle. What do I know do now? I wanted meaning in my life. I wanted purpose in my life. I fought loss, really fought loss for 5 months. Losing my job as professor shook me to the core, rattled my sense of self, stole my identity. I know, no, 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 knew a lot about identity. I studied it. I wrote about it. I lectured it. I knew the identities change for everyone. But I knew identity is the choice. I I am I want to steal the author. So I called Steve. I want to write the book.
Love it. So you took everything you've studied, everything you taught, and turned it into this book.
Yeah.
Steve, looking back now, what message do you hope readers take away from this second edition of your book?
Oh, um, I mean, I think so much of it is about the ability to make a choice to rebuild identity that because you've suffered a stroke, because that may leave you with lifelong disabilities, um, it may mean you can't live the purpose, live the meaning, live the joy in the same way as you did before. But you can recover a great life, and that it very well may be a different life, but that it can still be good, and that's the choice. And then, I think kind of so much about it is there's so much in the recovery system about how to recover your physical capabilities, but that becomes an emotional journey, and it's one you have to work on just as hard as the physical journey. And I don't think the system provides that much support. That's what we're hoping to influence. But that it's a journey. It's a piece of the recovery journey that both survivors and their loved ones have to be deliberate about. It doesn't just happen. And I think if people get that from the book and can take that forward, we'd be thrilled.
100%. And often this emotional journey does not start showing up until years after a
Yeah.
stroke,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
not in a rehab system anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that brings us to family, identity, and partnership, because the two of you are like the dynamic duo. You have
Yeah. Did you
excelled.
forget? Did you forget your cape?
I
Yeah.
know I should have said. And Steve, don't you have a crown or some fun headgear you wear to
Uh,
be your
I,
part of the dynamic duo?
Yeah,
I,
I don't know.
I might have to bring, I do have a wacky hat collection. Maybe I need to start bringing that to
There you
interview.
go. So in 2022, Deborah, you and Steve set out on your journey, Stroke Across America, a cycling trip from the Pacific Ocean west of Portland, Oregon, all the way to Boston. You rode 4,500 miles to raise awareness for stroke recovery and aphasia, and you were hosting community events all along the way. I believe that that trip became a turning point for your and Steve's family identity, finding new routines, taking your love of exercise and activities and really applying it in a new way.
Yeah.
Can you, Deb, tell us what it meant to you personally? Maybe some of the highs and the challenges doing this bicycle ride.
Let me start uh, with the challenges. I hated searching or every morning and every evening. I hated how, no hating so much help, but it's fantastic. The ride, the exercising all day, the beauty, the especially in the mountains. Uh, Friends and family were uh, who rode us some parts of the trip. We hosted three 16 community of events across the country. We the they got together we but whether the survivors, families, stroke care professionals, and more. It was so inspiring to be with all these people. The team, we had a core team of 6 riders and all, uh, uh, all the all their 6 riders and the support leaders. We became a family. Didn't expect that.
What an amazing trip you guys had. Steve, what did that trip teach you about rebuilding a life together? About going from being perhaps a caregiver to being a care partner?
I mean, I think I had really latched on to the care partner phrase quite a bit earlier than that. And that might be a topic for another another podcast. Um, but I think, Deb and I were lucky in that for our entire relationship, our entire marriage, we really enjoy a lot of the same things. So we did a lot of our recreating together, and that was a big part of our relationship. So for us, a big part of stroke recovery was finding ways to make that true again. That, there were things Deb couldn't do that she used to do. And so I think this whole, idea of adaptation that, anybody who knows Deb knows she doesn't like to be a passenger. So the idea of switching from her own bike to a tandem where I have control of the steering and the brakes was not easy,
Yeah.
but it was the way that we could keep doing things. And the first tandem we rode, Deb's spasticity in her calf would kick in, so we had to try a different kind of tandem, and then we had to make adaptations. And I think it was just the idea that you can get creative and find ways to do the things you like in relationship differently. And I think that's a big part of kind of what our recovery journey has been about, is trying to find those ways. And the bike trip was, you know, such an epitome of all of that. And like Deb said, she didn't like needing all the help she needed. I didn't like to be the only one that got the bike ready in the morning. I mean, so it's obviously it's a different dynamic, and there are aspects of it that are difficult for both of us. But at the end of the day, we get to do something that was incredible, and it's looking past the things you don't like to really embrace what it lets you do that
Yeah.
you do like.
Yeah.
And I think that's so much about what the message of our book and our work are about.
Yeah.
Looking past the things that you don't like to embrace the things that you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to put that down as a quote somewhere, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one. So you write in the book that we both will grieve our loss for the rest of our lives. The key is not to avoid grief, but to move through it so we can keep looking forward. And Deborah, that brings me to the next topic that I want to talk about. You shared in a recent interview about becoming a grandmother and
Yeah.
how that moment brought you both joy and grief. Would you tell us that story again, please?
The year ago, my grandson was born, Nilan, the first grandchild. We flew the red eye to New York after what he was born. We saw him when he was less than 1 day old. I was cloud nine. I was so happy all day. I couldn't stop laughing and smiling. The next morning, we walked over the Brooklyn Bridge to the hospital. I was pissed off with Steve for little things, for walking too fast, for walking too slow, for getting in my way, for grieving. He finally got fed up and asked me what was wrong. Nothing. I'm fine. Clearly, I wasn't. I started crying. I was so happy and I'm so sad. All night and all morning, I was thinking about all the things that I could do, 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 uh, do, uh, things I couldn't do as a grandmother. I couldn't safely hold the toddler because my uh, 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 right arm didn't work. I couldn't seek the native to relieve kids. The, all, even though I had an athlete all my life, I couldn't uh, uh, run after them when I could after them when he begins the walk, my mind raced on. That's true. I couldn't be the grandmother. I didn't. I can envision. I but I could still build a really relationship, meaningful relationship with him, holding him, playing with him, reading to him, and telling my story of ups and downs as he rose and experienced in his own. So, yes, I have cycles of grief all the time.
Yeah. And fortunately, it's part of it. And your story is such a powerful reminder of that. But it's still about focusing on the joy, about the parts that you can do. And it may look different than you ever imagined, but it's no less valuable. And your family wants you here,
Yeah, yeah,
right? That's so important to focus on.
yeah.
So let's move on to innovation and adaptation and moving forward. We already know that you had to experiment with your tandem bike and make adaptations. But let's share with the audience another adaptation that you have made, Debra. And part of this, I love the tech part of this. So I see Steve's queuing it up. Debra, would you share what is one of your creative ways of adaptation? We know you have an AI generated voice, Debatar. Love that name.
Yeah.
And I'd love for the listeners to hear a little bit about how that sounds.
I am really good, really good.
And all we have to do is get my computer to stop being annoying. Here we go.
All right, ready.
Hi, everyone. This is Deb again. Well, Deb talking to you with the help of Debatar, which is my voice clone. I loaded about 30 minutes of a talk I gave last fall in the Software by 11 lab, and it created this voice clone. Now I can load in any script I write, and Debatar can present for me in a voice that sounds, well, kind of like me. Why is this so helpful? With aphasia, I practiced so many hours to give a talk. Using Debatar, I can give more talk and hopefully make more impact. I can also use the practice time I save to do more things that make me happy. That helps me to stay healthy, both emotionally and physically. And Debatar also lets me talk about some things that are really hard for me. A few months ago, Steve and I were preparing for a podcast about grief. I was practicing for it over and over, as I have to do, and I was getting depressed, reliving some of the most difficult parts of my recovery journey. Steve did the podcast without me, but used Debatar so that my voice, not just my story, could help the audience understand how managing through grief is an important part of stroke recovery. Really good, really good.
It is really good. And it's really nice for the audience to hear that and for me as well. And just the application of that, I'm already thinking of one of my clients that we need to get hooked up with this.
Yeah.
So, Steve, tell us a little bit about how Stroke Onward has partnered with 11 Labs.
Yeah, I mean it's still in its early stages, but we are launching a community platform called the Stroke Onward Community Circle, or SOC for short. And it's in soft launch right now, and we'll go into, I think there are about 300 people sort of using it, testing it, helping us understand kind of what works, what doesn't. And a woman named Jordan Elizabeth on our team is leading that effort, and we're going to go full launch. The plan is at the end of the month, as part of World Stroke Day, is the full launch at the end of this month. And we have a partnership with 11 Labs, that anybody who is part of our community and has a speech challenge, aphasia or otherwise, can get a free license for 11 Labs. I think it's free for 5 years and then minimal cost after that. So, we hope folks who might be able to make use of it. I will just quick caveat that from now till the end of the year, we don't yet have all of our support tools up. So it's kind of you can get the license, but we don't have a lot to support you. So it's use it as you can. But then hopefully right around the first of the year, we're going to have a lot more support tools, tutorials, ways that you can get help using it. And I think just the one thing that we're very sensitive to is, for Deb and for anybody with aphasia, regaining your own speech is it's job number one, and it's really important to use that speech wherever it is, however fluent or not fluent it is. And so we're really careful not to present 11 Labs as a substitute for that. It's a way to extend what Deb can do on her own in a way that maybe she can make more use of her voice. Maybe she can use her voice without it forcing her to give up too much other things. But it's in no way a replacement. And that's really important for us to say, because we think the effort to regain speech is such an important thing. So
Love it. Well, that is a perfect segue into our final segment here. Steve, if you would tell us a little bit more about everything not everything, because that would be a long list and we'd need to add a second recording. But what would you like to emphasize that Stroke Onward is working on right now?
Sure, and I'll just start by saying that we've been blessed to be able to recruit a wonderful CEO, Liz Wolfson, and she's started to recruit a great team. So more and more of this work is being done by people other than us, so we can spend time with Nilin. But in addition to SOC, the Stroke Onward Community Circle, another of the big initiatives is something we're calling Regional Collective Impact Gatherings. Again, it's all about building community. SOC is the online community. The collective impact gatherings are in person. Going into a geography, we've got two right now signature events. One is called Stroke Care Onward, which is getting healthcare professionals together to talk about the continuum of care, and in particularly how the system could move better from the critical care and rehabilitative care into the emotional support piece. And then the second is called Stroke Monologues. We think of it as kind of a TEDx for stroke survivors. Performances of storytelling, stroke survivors, care partners, family members, stroke care professionals. And I think you said this is going to air next week. So just in time to say that if any of your listeners happen to be in the Bay Area, we have 4 events going on in the Bay Area, October 20th through 23rd. And I think you're going to put a link in the show. And then one other big initiative is the PBS station in Syracuse, New York, WCNY, produced a 30-minute documentary about stroke across America and our journey more broadly. And that's going to air November 9th and then hopefully have national distribution after that. And I think we shared a link with you that you can put in the show notes. So if people want to see that documentary, they can. So those are the big things.
Love
Yeah.
it. So much great work happening. Deb, we're going to wrap up. Do you have anything else you would like to share with the audience today? So you guys are you both reading part of the book?
Nope, Deb, I didn't know if you wanted to do your preamble again, but
Yes,
Deb's
I will.
gonna, okay. No, Deb's gonna just say a few lines and then I'll read.
Oh,
Love it.
the one thing, I am in New York right now, living with new new identity, is the grandmother. My, all the the
Just skip the R.
the the the
Hey, Deb, why don't we start over?
yeah.
What
Yeah.
I was going to say, Deb, is you struggle with the modifiers like our,
Yeah.
so you can just skip it if you just go straight into identities.
Yeah.
You start.
So Deb, let me set you up.
Okay.
Let me ask the question again, and then you can go into your part. Does that work?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Deb, I would love to get any final thoughts you would like to share with the audience.
One thing, I was in New York right now, living with my new identity is the grandmother. The the identity is always changing, but not just because life changes, we change. Yeah. See what could you read the passage?
Yeah, so from our book, if anybody has the book, it's on page 220 in the second to last chapter, and we wrote when we launched Stroke Onward and started giving talks in 2019, I, Debra, frequently said that my efforts to adapt and move forward, I couldn't be an academic anymore, so I have developed a new kind of career. For the past 5 years, I have continued to adapt and expand my activities, presenting frequently to classes, participating in research projects, writing published articles, and more. Following our presentation in the 2024 Spring Institute on Disability, I found myself thinking, I am still an academic. I have
Right.
So I have revised that line in my talks to I can't be a traditional academic anymore, so I've developed a new kind of academic career. My identity continues to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Deb.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. The work that you guys are doing at Stroke Onward, that you have a full organization in place, all your initiatives to help stroke survivors, those with aphasia, their families, really repair identity, fix that emotional journey. And I look forward to helping in any way I can to help on the ground, boots on the ground to make this a reality because it's so very, very necessary.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And thank you for the important work you do,
Yeah.
podcasts and otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. So great to meet you both in person. Well, Zoom, gotta love it.
Yeah.
A great unifier, right? Gets rid
Yeah.
of geography. Thank you again for being with us today on the podcast, and we will talk to you very soon.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thanks again.